welcome to your favorite below average motovlogger. This is a 2020 Kawasaki Z400 or Z400 if you're from the overseas type. I got this bike a few months ago. So yeah, 1,147 miles right now, and I have loved pretty much every mile of riding this bike. I haven't had any issues with it. It is extremely light. It feels super nimble. It just wants to corner and corner and corner. I've taken it on a couple windy roads up in the mountains out here, and or the hills, I guess you could say, not necessarily mountains, but it did awesome. I loved it. Every second of it, I was thinking that I could get, you know, tighter and tighter in the turn, and it made me feel like I could push my limits more than what I could actually push them with. So if that makes any sense. I mean, this thing, I mean, this isn't a tight corner at all, but I mean, this thing just wants to lean. So it's a fun little motorcycle. So the Z400 obviously is a I think it's like 398 cc, 399 cc, but basically 400 cc motorcycle. So it is definitely a beginner's bike. It's an awesome bike for somebody that has literally never sat on a motorcycle before, to get up and to learn how to ride a motorcycle. It's not very tall. I would say it has like a 30-31 inch seat height. I'm 5'10", and I can easily flat foot on this bike. Let's just start with the dash. So the dash is nothing really anything special. I think it's a hand-me-down from the older Z900s. So it's a full digital dash. It has different modes as far as like trip A, trip B, stuff like that. It tells you your average fuel mile per gallon, your instant fuel economy, how many miles you have left on the tank, which is cool. I don't really use anything but the time. I don't like wearing my watch with these gloves, so I definitely need to utilize that time a little more. So you have the fuel, the miles per hour, the gear indicator, and the temperature. So on the left side we got the horn, little bitty horn. We have the turn signals. It does not have hazard lights. It has low beams and high beams. Low beams are always on. On the right side, obviously the engine cutoff, and the starter button right here, the ignition switch. Sure, it's kind of bumpy. This bike is not very powerful. Obviously, being a 400cc motorcycle, it's for beginners. Third gear, 6,000 RPMs, and I'm just gonna crank on the throttle. Right? Ready? So it's not jerking me in the back of my seat. It isn't doing anything crazy. It's just the throttle is there. So mainly because this is a naked bike, it is geared for that low end torque, not necessarily for that high end power. Which I am actually starting to love the naked bikes. I never thought I would like the naked bikes as much as sport bikes, but I'm really starting to have a better appreciation for the naked bike when it comes to driving around town. So I didn't necessarily want a sports bike or anything. I was looking at Harleys at first. So this bike has a little bit of vibration in the handlebars and a little bit on the foot pegs. It isn't a lot. It isn't enough to where at the end of a long ride your hands are going to be numb. If you know how to sit on the bike properly. If you're not putting all your weight on your wrists, then you should be good to go. But if you know you're hunched over and putting all your weight, because this bike has a very upright seating position, but that's if I'm sitting into the tank. If I sit back a little bit, which is what I enjoy doing, I can actually get more of that sport bike type of stance, which is something that I actually don't mind too much. So the seat on this bike isn't extremely comfortable, but it isn't a horrible seat either. I would say it's right in the middle of the road. The longest ride I've been on this thing is about 3.5 hours, and that was going up in the hills. It wasn't bad. This is it, the Z400. Out of the bikes I test drove, this bike definitely felt the most nimble, which it should compared to the other bikes that I rode. Harleys really aren't, you know, corner king, and the DR650 was more of an off-road bike, so it made sense why this bike was obviously the best corner. But the thing I liked about this bike was just how easy it was to ride. I think that is what sold me on getting this bike over the other ones, and I think that is what sold me on naked bikes. I think I'm gonna be a lifelong fan of these. They are awesome for city driving. The wind blast isn't horrible. You definitely feel it. Right now, going about 52 miles per hour, I don't really feel any wind blast. But if there is a lot of wind, then yes, you will feel the wind, and it will be pushing up against you. I actually don't really like riding this in heavy winds, and up here in the Black Hills we get some gnarly wind. But the main reason why I got the Z400 was to get back into riding motorcycles. I have not ridden a bike in, I would say, 2 to 3 years at all. Not even sat on a bike. I definitely wanted to get something a little smaller that I could enjoy and really hone my skills with riding. Don't get me wrong, I definitely could have got a 600 or a 650. Those are good, I would say, not necessarily beginner bikes, but if you were in my position where you know how to ride a motorcycle, you've taken safety courses before, you know, but it's been years since you've gotten on a motorcycle, then it makes sense to get a bike like that. Do I regret getting the 400? Some days I do, some days I don't. I definitely don't feel like the power is there. Of course, it being a naked bike, it always has that low end torque, so that is one plus. If I would have got an R3 or Ninja 400 or something along those lines, I probably wouldn't have as much fun as I do on this bike, just because the low end torque and that grunt. Those bikes don't have that because they're not meant to have that. This bike can corner though, and it feels really good doing it. So overall, the Z400 I think is one of the best beginner motorcycles anybody could get. Just with the seating position, the ease of getting around at lower speeds and lower RPMs of city driving, and just how user-friendly this bike is. It's very simple. This is the ABS model. See if we can get the ABS. I didn't even activate the ABS right there. But as you can see, this bike stops incredibly well. Still trying to get the hang of wheeling, because don't get me wrong, this is a hooligan bike. This is a bike that's made to wheelie, and it's made to do fun things with, and, you know, kind of go off the beaten path and just have a good time, be able to get around. This bike has made me want to get into motorcycles. course I wanted a cruiser, and then I got this baby. But like I said, I think I'm gonna probably within the next year, probably next spring, I'm definitely gonna upgrade to probably a sport bike. If I don't upgrade to a sport bike, I'm definitely gonna get either the Z900, so Kawasaki, same model or same make as this one. So the Z900, I really want to test drive the MT-09, maybe even the MT-10. I think the MT-10 might be a little much for me. I don't know. It's got an R1 motor in it, so 1000 cc's, and it is a monster, and it is geared for low end torque, so you can pop a wheelie on that thing in just about every single gear. I would love to test drive one. Definitely want to upgrade. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys stopping by. If I missed anything, please let me know. I'll probably post a spec sheet in the video as well, probably somewhere around here, so just to give more accurate information from what I was talking about. So yeah, that was fun. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. It definitely helps me get into this kind of stuff and lets me know that you guys enjoy the stuff that I'm doing, and yeah, I appreciate it. So OttoVenture signing off. See?